Winterview. Back again. Didn't get a surf. The surf was, well, crap. Anyway, time for another brief dialogue with dear friend Annastacey. This brief dialogue is on nothing in the way. Interesting topic, I think. Often it seems for the person, the seeker, the aspirant, person looking for an answer in the sort of spiritual domain, there seems to be a sense that there's something in the way, something they're not getting, something they need to see that's somehow veiled or hidden. When I listen to others talk on this subject, or occasionally read the odd book on spiritual matters, I see this confusion running through many respected teachings about this, and thought it be worth wading into the morass with my 2 cents. The idea that there's something in the way of seeing sort of spiritual something is extremely old and traditional. What was I saying? Lost my train of thought totally there. It seems that spiritual practices, meditations and so forth are designed, or at least from the seeker's point of view, are there to help them see something that they're not getting, because there seems to be a block of some description in the way. And we often hear of spiritual seekers talking about waiting for a shift in perception or a change of in the mind, some kind of shift, broadly speaking. We often hear teachers as well admonishing seekers to try certain things or to not try certain things, and things like don't refer to the self, don't use personal pronouns, for example, or certain ways of talking or thinking might reinforce the idea of a seeker as if it's a problem. Or teachings that are directed to the presumed individual are somehow a problem because they will confuse. Or a teaching that is kind of lopsided will only lead to sort of one partial understanding is also a problem because the teaching needs to be well-rounded or all-encompassing or something. Or seekers are in danger of being sidetracked into something that is ultimately a problem for them, and they won't get something as a result. All these ideas are subtle variations of the same theme, somehow trying to suggest that whatever's happening right now and the way it's happening, even apparently, is wrong or a problem. And if you go even further along this line of thinking, it means that something else is better or right, something in the future. I feel that this is a very confusing way to express this, and not confusing for someone, but the mind. Comes back to the mind. The mind is this little devil in a way. It latches on so effortlessly and quickly to the barest hint of a concept, and the mind will snatch it and take it and run with it. So it's a very difficult subject on the whole to talk about. And so you often hear me making these little concessions like apparently, seems to be, perhaps, and maybe, and who knows, and all that kind of thing, in an effort to try and arrest the mind from doing these little leaps of faith, you might say. I guess we've got to ask, what is it that we think we're going to see if something, and who knows what, is removed? The something is very disappointing to the mind. Extremely disappointing, I have to admit. The something is just what's going on right now. This is it. It's a sort of recognition that the immediacy of what's happening is everything there is. But what's remarkable? What's remarkable about this, and what the mind seems to always miss, is that this occurs in a freedom, a spacious freedom, you could say. Even the mind's doubts, even the misconceptions that occur, even the teachings that are lopsided or limited or in some way mistaken, all occur in this spacious freedom. Isn't that wonderful that it can all occur in this spaciousness? That's the freedom right there that the mind can't see, because the mind, in a sense, appears in that spacious freedom. It has no way to reflect back other than conceptually, you would say, to that spaciousness. So I could be the worst teacher in the world, the worst guru, figure, spiritual sort of charlatan, you might say, in the world, and it won't get in the way of anything. There's nothing that I'm blocking with my poor teaching, you could say. And that works both ways. Even the seeker who is confused and isn't getting something, doesn't understand something, is in another way, it's totally fine. It's okay to be totally confused and feel like you're not getting something. That has the freedom, you might say, to appear or arise as well. So this is a paradox now, because the mind is absolutely desperate to lock on to a teaching or a principle that it thinks is truthful or real and follow that. It doesn't want to hear that even crap information is okay because it doesn't matter. The mind just hates that idea that a crap teaching is okay. It wants the truth. It wants the best teaching. It's like watching a TV program, and in the TV program itself, in the drama on the TV, the characters are all trying to be perfect and thinking that when they're perfect, the TV program will be watchable. But actually, it doesn't matter what the characters are doing. We're just watching the TV program for the drama, you might say, of it. The characters don't have to be perfect, and in fact, if they were, it'd be pretty boring drama, probably. I don't know if that's a particularly helpful metaphor, but anyway, it just popped into mind there. But the key point, I guess, I'm suggesting is there's often a sense that I'm not seeing something, I'm not getting something, something's hidden, which implies that something can be hidden. What would be in the way, you might ask? What would get in the way of the totality of existence? What could possibly interrupt the totality of existence? Life doesn't get blocked. Nothing is blocking life. Nothing is limiting or suppressing life. It's a very popular idea that beliefs somehow suppress life, and when a belief is seen through or lifted, life will then flow. You know, that's a very popular idea, even not in just alternative circles, but even in mainstream circles, mainstream psychology as well. We see that people are limited and they somehow need to see the truth, and then they'll be free. Maybe it comes back to that Bible quote about the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. I guess that's a hard concept or slogan, you could even say, for the mind to grasp. The mind latches onto that straight away and goes, right, that's great news. All I have to do is figure out the truth, and then I'll be free. The truth is that all there is freedom. The fact that there is freedom allows for everything to unfold. Not everything all at once in one giant explosion of everything, but whatever's apparently happening at the time. And that in some ways is a bit disappointing, I suppose, because it points back to the ordinary normalcy of what's allowed to appear. Surely the mind thinks that just walking through the suburbs of some backwater neighbourhood to get a pint of milk at the store isn't it. Maybe shouldn't it be something a bit more, with a bit more pizzazz? You know, shouldn't I be seeing angels and deities and glowing objects, burning bushes, and hearing, you know, the word of God in my ear? So, shouldn't that be the case? This is, I guess, hearkening back to the fantasy, in a way, the fantasy of spirituality. But I want to just touch upon this idea that something's in the way. Again, I want to come back to this point. This needs to be, in some ways, hammered home in this dialogue. There is nothing in the way. Nothing at all is in the way. The thing that appears to be in the way is somehow built into the story of something being in the way. But the story itself unfolds in that freedom. It appears in the emptiness, the purity, you could even say, funny word, but let's just roll with it, the purity of awareness, of consciousness, the clean slate of awareness. In awareness appears the story of a limited, sad loser who needs to find spiritual truth or some greater reality. Well, this is a super duper brief dialogue because I can't think of anything more to say on this matter for now. Suffice to say that there is, as I've said it before, there's nothing in the way. There is absolutely nothing in the way.